Hey friends, we're back again talking about our relationship with food. And this week I thought it might be helpful to talk a little bit about mindful eating. And I have a few little tips for that. And so I have to say that um, when I first heard about this, many years ago and started trying to do it, um, it's challenging. you know, I think as women, we are naturally multitaskers. We always feel like we need to be productive no matter what we're doing. So even if we're eating, we're also trying to listen to a podcast or, I don't know, send an email to somebody or work or do whatever it is. So it's hard for us to just sit and focus on just eating. Maybe not for you, but I know it was for me. Taking time to just really pay attention to your food and notice, the flavors and the textures and make, these gentle observations. Um, I know when I first heard about it, it sounded like it was going to be a lot of work. And I'm going to say it was challenging when I started trying to do this. But I have some tips for you today that'll make it a little bit more easy for you. And it's really important to do because there are a lot of benefits, of course, of eating mindfully. You'll be so much better at noticing your own hunger cues and, when you're satisfied and full and, if you're really hungry, if you really need to be eating, what foods are you really enjoying? What do you actually really like, and what are you just sort of wolfing down because you're just in a rush? And you might get really a lot more clear on what reasons you have for your eating, why you're doing what you're doing. So that's always a helpful thing. So, what exactly, what do we, how do we eat mindfully? What does that even look like? How can we make that easier for ourselves? That's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, just want to introduce you myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nancy Barker. I am a relationship and stress coach. I help women who are stuck in any sort of challenging relationship, whether it's with a child or a parent or a partner or a coworker or self or food or whatever that is, to just become more clear about what it is that's keeping you sort of in that place where you feel like you're stuck, and what you would like to change, and how to sort of move through that so that you can have more clarity and more connection and bring more joy and ease into your relationships. And of course, who doesn't want that? So here we go. Tip number one, cut the distractions. Now, this is a hard one sometimes to do, but we got to make things as easy as we can for ourselves, right? And so if we turn our phones off, if we put them in flight mode or whatever, or out of sight, out of mind, clear things away that are in front of us. Don't be sitting in front of the TV. Hopefully you're not eating and listening to me right now, but maybe you are. Those sorts of things, just make it easy for yourself. The less distractions you have, the better, the easier it'll be for you. But don't beat yourself up over the distractions. Just like when we're trying to meditate, we just notice those distractions and, let them pass because we're human and our brains do that. Our brains are constantly looking around, interested in things. So just be kind to yourself and don't beat yourself up if you are distracted. It's like a skill, right? So don't judge yourself, just keep trying. And the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. So tip number two, serve out your portions. This is one that I find really helpful for myself. I know my two sort of worst times are when I get home from work and I'm really hungry. So I just want to eat everything in sight. So it's really important, I know for myself, to just pull out a portion of something, or to have something already ready, even better, so that I can just sort of sit and enjoy that, rather than, if I had the box in front of me, say a box of crackers or, whatever it is, and just keep eating and eating. And the other time is in front of the TV. I find it's really easy to just be mindless. Not that you're mindfully eating, even if you're portioning out, maybe, but it does help you to eat less. So I will take, if we're having popcorn or something, I'll just take, a container from whatever, my hummus or whatever that I've bought and washed, and I will fill that up, or you could fill a cup up, or whatever you have. So it just helps bring attention to actually how much you're eating. so that you just don't mindlessly, become a bottomless pit. So another tip number 3, is to just take a moment before you eat and show some gratitude, show some loving for, everybody who was involved in putting that food together for you, from the farm to the table and everybody in between, and whoever was there to help share the preparation with you, and maybe to whoever, whatever it is, that the higher being that you believe in. Just being really appreciative and grateful for the food that you have in front of you. Tip number 4, just chew your food and take your time. This is something that actually, I'm actually really good at eating slowly. It's just a natural thing. I just eat slowly. It's just how I am. So I thought it would be easy to do this mindfully as well, but it actually, I didn't find that it was easy, because if I'm eating with people and have distractions and that sort of thing, I'm just naturally doing it because that's how I am. But once I'm trying to really pay attention, I find all I'm thinking about is that I'm doing it and that I'm trying to be slow. And I don't know, I find it really distracting to be focusing on that, if that makes any sense. So I decided to experiment with a timer. So sometimes I'll set a timer, because sometimes, maybe you're just starting out and it's hard for you to sit there and mindfully pay attention to an entire meal. So maybe set yourself a timer if you're eating alone, so that you at least do it for a few minutes, so that you start to get better at it. You start to exercise your mind. And, I found also what the timer helped me with was I wasn't so worried about all those other things that I needed to do, because the timer was worrying about it for me. So it's not like I thought I was going to sit there for, a half an hour where I only had 15 minutes and I needed to get on to something else. Because the timer took care of that. So set it for 5 minutes, set it for 10 minutes, set it for whatever you feel comfortable with. Then that might help you to just be more focused there. You could even think about how many times you're going to chew each bite of food before you swallow, so that you can really start to notice your food. And one tip that I really like is to sort of make a game out of it. Make like you're a little detective or something, and start asking yourself all these questions, like, what flavor am I noticing? What texture am I noticing? I think it'll be really interesting once you start thinking about it. Am I actually really enjoying this, or am I just eating it because it's there in front of me? Like I know I'm guilty of doing that. I'm guessing a lot of us are. Is that food really hitting the spot for you? Is it satisfying the craving, that you had? Think about the food, like, has it solved a problem for you? Maybe there was something going on. Maybe you were stressed and you stopped and you ate. So what's the relationship there? How's my appetite changing? Is my hunger going away? How do I feel emotionally while I'm eating this? Was I even hungry? Was I thirsty? We've talked about some of these other things before, but just really thinking about, asking yourself all these questions, and that'll make the time pass too, so that you can really focus in on your food and be mindful. So again, over time, all of these observations are going to be really helpful for you in improving your relationship with food. So do this, right? Cut the distractions, serve out your portions, take a moment to be grateful, chew your food, take your time, and start to make a little game out of it. Be a little detective. So I hope those tips were helpful for you. I'd love to hear from you if you have any feedback for me, what you would like to hear more about, anything, how maybe you've used any of these tips. That would be amazing. Come over to my Facebook page, join me at Living in Yes, and we can connect there, or we can connect on my, on my website. Make sure you pick up the freebies below, and I hope you have a beautiful day, and thanks for listening. Take good care. Bye now.